Am I spiritual? Is spirituality even a coherent concept? We're going to explore that today because we find an awful lot of people who say they're spiritual but not religious. But that's not really something to be proud of, is it? So let's get started. So I told you this was coming. We're going to do a quick quiz on whether or not I'm spiritual. And spoilers, I'm not. However, this is going to serve an even deeper purpose that we'll get into as we go on, something that you also might see coming, but I'll leave you guessing for now. So, am I spiritual? Well, let's take the quiz and find out. First off, here's the quiz that I'm taking. The link is in the description if you want to go take it for yourself, but I'll tell you right now not to bother. This isn't the first "Are you spiritual?" quiz that I looked at. All of them seem to have the same kind of problems, and that is, as you might have guessed, all of them are trying to push you to be spiritual. And this is a problem with a lot of quizzes that we've taken. They're ludicrously biased, and this might be the most ludicrously biased of them all. Still, we're going to give it a shot. I mean, what can go wrong, right? Do you believe your soul has a purpose? Well, since I don't believe in a soul, no. Of course, this was the first warning sign that I saw on the very first question. Now, maybe they assume that anybody who would be taking such a quiz on spirituality was going to accept some of the most common tropes up front, but that's not how this works. So, no, I don't believe souls exist based on the complete lack of any evidence for them whatsoever. And even if I did, I wouldn't believe it had a purpose because there is no evidence for that either. So, we're off to a bad start. Next. Number 2. Do you believe that once you accept that life has been all planned out and that your soul has a reason for being here, that you can get off the emotional roller coaster knowing that everything happens for a reason? Well, that was a giant load of complete nonsense right there, wasn't it? I don't accept any of that at all. Life isn't all planned out. That's just stupid. I don't have a soul, and even if I did, it doesn't have a reason to be here. There isn't a roller coaster, and nothing happens for a reason. So my answer isn't just no, it's hell no. This is something else that you're going to notice moving forward, and remember, I've taken this so I know. They are really trying to push you to pick certain options. You notice how yes is in all caps. There's a ridiculous amount of bias going on here, and as I said before, this is the third quiz that I went through before I decided that I just had to pick one of them, and this one, believe it or not, is probably the least offensive. Take that one as you will. So anyway, no. Just no. Do you like to sit in silence? No, not really. I mean, sometimes I might do it so I can think, but I'm assuming that that's not the purpose of asking this question. I'm not meditating if that's what you want to know. I've got way too much to do for that, which is why I had to go with a third option. Now, I'm not saying that I won't sit there and, as I said, just think. I don't need background noise for that or anything, but that's not what I figured they're trying to get at, so I'm still going with no. Do I fear judgment? Well, define your terms. If you mean from a god, then clearly not. There's no evidence that any gods exist at all. So who are you thinking is judging me? I'm also not worried about, say, civil judgment because I haven't done anything wrong. I'm not one of those people who sees a cop in the rearview mirror and freaks out. I haven't done anything. So we're going to stick with no. Do you often explain life choices to others? Well, that's kind of a vague question, isn't it? I mean, if I'm in a discussion with somebody and it comes up, then sure, I'll go ahead and do that. Do I just run around and spout this crap at strangers? No, obviously not. And that's another problem with a lot of these quizzes. The questions are often vague and utterly irrelevant. Why are you asking, and in what context do you want me to answer? Therefore, I said, depends, because it does. But notice that the bottom option is, yes, and it's annoying. Why? I mean, why is the annoying part there at all? What does that add to the question? Like I said, bias, but we'll continue. Do you feel at peace with nature? Um, sure, I guess. Why do you ask? I feel at peace pretty much everywhere. Again, we see that the answer they don't want you to pick is pretty obviously marked. No, we're just killing nature as we speak. But what does that even mean? What does that have to do with the question? What the hell is wrong with you? Do you thrive off drama or try to distance yourself from it as much as possible? Now, personally, I have no interest in drama at all. And you notice they try to say you're normal if you're a drama queen. Yeah, fuck you. This is childish, it really is, but that's really what I think of spirituality, so I guess that comes as no surprise. Now, maybe a lot of people like drama, but I have virtually no respect for those people at all. Granted, this isn't a quiz about who I respect, so maybe we should just move on. Do you try to think happy thoughts? No, I don't try to think anything. Whatever I think, I think. It is what it is. Again, they're trying to direct the answer, and I'm not falling for it. I'm going to go for the third one, even if it isn't all that accurate. I don't always have happy thoughts. I don't always have anything. Everyone has doubts sometimes, but if I'm honest, I really don't have a lot of stresses or fears. Am I a generally happy person? I don't know. Am I generally satisfied? Sure, I'll go with that. But I don't make any effort to be that way. It's just the way that it goes. Next. Do you ever look up at the night sky in awe? No, not really. I mean, I hear from a lot of atheists how impressed they are with the universe, but I've never really been that way. It just is what it is. I don't have to be impressed with it because we're just here. Okay, whatever. It isn't a good thing that we're here, nor a bad thing that we're here. We're just here. Why do we need anything else? So, no, and here I even agreed with the quiz. Why in the world would I do that? Do you embrace adversity? No. I mean, sometimes there is adversity and I don't run away from it. I just deal with it. Dealing with it isn't the same thing as embracing it, at least not from my perspective. It's not like I'm looking forward to it or anything. I don't embrace the traffic accident. I just deal with it. So this is just dumb. No, don't be stupid. Do you recognize yourself in all beings? No, that's just dumb. It even recognizes that it's dumb. What does that even mean? Yeah, that's a good question. Of course, they wouldn't have a good answer, just like the religious. This is all about fifis and wishful thinking, not rational, intelligent considerations, which is why this quiz is just so ridiculous. Keep in mind, this is the best of the ones that I looked at. It's kind of sad, huh? Do you trust in life's wisdom? I don't even know what the hell that means. What wisdom? Point it out for me. Is there wisdom out there? Sure, I guess. Does that wisdom come from life? Maybe. I don't know. Some life, certainly, but not all life. This is like noodling your navel bullshit. No, never. So let's move on. Do you care about being who people think you should be? No, not remotely. I am who I am. If you don't like it, too bad. Go someplace else. This is one of those questions that I think makes it seem like this was written by somebody very, very young. Now, I could be completely wrong, but it seems like a lot of people are really, really concerned about making everybody around them happy these days. Don't offend anybody. But I don't do that because I don't care. There are some individuals that I want to make happy. I want to make my wife happy. I want to make my family happy, mostly. Now, there are some that I don't care about, mostly distant relatives. I mean, you can't pick your family, but you don't have to give a crap about them if you don't want to. So, no, not remotely. Do you seek the truth in all situations? Now, I'll be honest. This one gave me pause just for a second. Do I try to get to the truth? Yes, I do. I don't care about comfort. I don't care about what makes you happy. I don't care about lying to myself just to feel good. I want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Ignorance isn't bliss. It's just intellectual laziness. And I've said that before. If I had cancer, I'd want to know about it. If I was going to die tomorrow, just bang, out of the blue, I never saw it coming, I just dropped dead, would I want to know? Yes, I would. Ignorance isn't bliss. Hiding from the truth isn't something to be proud of, so I said yes. Do you follow your intuition? It depends. I try to follow the evidence. If my intuition is based on the best information that I have, then sure, you can say that. If it's just pissing into the wind, then no. I don't just go, well, I've got a feeling, and do stupid stuff. That's not me at all. So sometimes, I guess, maybe? Do you think dreams are signals or messages? No, they're just the brain doing what the brain does in its downtime. And I think I've said this too before, but my dreams tend to be really, really boring and bizarre, at least the ones that I remember. I don't have any highs and I don't have any lows. I don't remember the last time I had a legitimate nightmare. I just don't do that. Now, I'm just going to throw this in here completely out of the blue because this is just a tiny snippet of a dream that I had this morning. And it doesn't mean anything. It's just very bizarre, but this is what I remember. It was something about a sort of superhero team, and one of them was, I think, played by Oscar Isaacs, who was, I don't remember what he was called, like Mr. Sexy or something, but he was running around in a bathrobe. And he was scarred all over the place because he'd seen a lot of action. But I guess his superpower was he would just like open up the front of his bathrobe and go, "Do you find me sexy?" And everybody would look at him and just, he had some mind control power that he could tell people to do what they want. And they were looking for some super powerful hero that had just gone missing. I'm trying to remember what name it had. I don't remember at the moment. But if you just use that superhero's name in relation to anybody else, people would just go, wow, and look over there, and it would be a distraction. And there was this other hero who I think she was played by Amy Acker. I don't know. But she wore these really sheer see-through clothes. And at one point in time, the guy played by Oscar Isaacs, he was going, I don't know why we're having you played by Amy Acker because nobody's ever going to look at your face. But at one point in time, there was a crowd of people coming on them, and he called her the name of this superhero, and everybody looked at her, and he just ran away. All right, that's the kind of weird shit that goes through my head in the middle of the night. Anyway, yes, it's that weird, and it's just usually just weird crap. I don't have a lot of exciting dreams. I mean, the kind, ooh, I'm flying. I don't do any of that. It's all run-of-the-mill boring stuff or bizarre crap that defies any explanation. Like I said, I don't have any major stresses or anything, so nothing much happens in my dreams. Therefore, I'm going to have to go with the last option. Do you ever think about someone once or twice and know that you need to reach out? No, not at all. Now, this is a case of following the hits and ignoring the misses. You think of somebody and the phone rings and it's them. Okay, fine. But what about all the times that you think about somebody and nothing happens? What about all the times that something bad happens to someone and you never thought about them at all? This is all just a bunch of wishful thinking bullshit. So, no. Do you ever experience random emotions and realize that they aren't yours? No. What the hell are you smoking? And you notice that they're doing it here again. Yes is all in caps. That's what they want you to pick. There is no evidence that this ever happens, though. It's all just wishful thinking. People are trying to read into their experiences by thinking that there's something out of the ordinary going on. Come on back when you've got evidence that that's actually happening, and I figure we'll never hear from you again. Does your body ever tingle with joy? Well, not the way that you mean it. I mean, there are other things, but that'll just get the video deleted off YouTube, so we're not going to go there. This is where we have to wonder what's really going on with these people that this kind of thing happens to, because normal people don't do that. What mental or psychological or physiological problems are they experiencing where they just walk down the street and go, "Ugh." Normal people just don't do that. Maybe you need to go get yourself checked out. Have you ever experienced a sense of not quite belonging with your old friends anymore? Maybe distanced yourself to be alone or with people who are more aligned to who you are? Yeah, sure, and so have you. People change, people grow apart, people make new friends. I mean, aren't you friends with people who are aligned with your interests and personality? Why would you be friends with people who you don't like or have absolutely nothing in common with you? That makes no sense at all. No. Do you hate superficial things or fake people who thrive on things like trends? Yes, because trends are for people with no interests or personality of their own. Now, I have to ask, what the hell does this have to do with spirituality? I know I could ask that about a lot of these questions, but this one especially. What in the hell are you talking about, Willis? What does this mean? So I picked the middle one. I don't give a crap about what other people think or what other people do. I don't care about trends at all. I think the whole thing is just dumb. Be yourself. Next. Do you feel a deep yearning for meaning in your life? Nope, not at all. The meaning that I have in my life is the one that I gave it. I don't need anything external, and I don't need anybody's validation. It's the same thing that I tell the religious when they ask me about purpose. I give myself purpose. If you're running around looking for meaning and purpose, maybe you got some problems. So, no. Do you feel creative and inspired? Sometimes, sure. I mean, I have to be creative a lot, and inspiration is something you do for yourself. It's not something that comes from the outside. That's something else that bugs me a lot. Well, I'm just not motivated. Well, that kind of sounds like a you problem to me. Maybe you ought to do something about that. I am creative when I need to be, and I'm inspired when I need to be. If you're waiting for the motivation fairy to come along and smack you on the head with a wand, you're doing this wrong. That's it. Do you spend less time worrying now more than ever? What? Well, I don't really have anything to worry about, but again, what does this have to do with spirituality? I don't worry about stuff unnecessarily. Why would you? I'm just going to pick yes, even though that's not really a good answer because I didn't really used to worry about a lot of stuff either. Maybe once upon a time I did, but that's been a very, very long time ago. This is just a really dumb question. Do you love and give without expectations? What is this hippy dippy bullshit? I mean, I don't just run around loving random people. If you do, then I think you've got some issues. I've got to go with the last one, but it doesn't really make any sense. Again, spirituality where? What does this have to do with anything? Do you have a strong connection to animals? Well, it depends on what you mean. Do I like animals? Yes, absolutely I do. Do I have a spiritual connection to them? No, I don't have a spiritual connection to anything because that's stupid. And as long as this question is here, just as I was writing this video, something kind of weird happened. It was raining outside and I heard a dog barking. That's not abnormal, but dog barking in the rain, you want to go take a look. So I look outside and my neighbor across the street, they've got this 6-foot concrete block fence and their dog was just walking around on top of it. I mean, 6 feet off the ground on this narrow little fence, dog is just walking back and forth. So I go out there in the rain to see if this dog got stuck up there or something. Now, I can't even imagine how she got up there in the first place. She's like a little tan and white pit bull mix. Really sweet, but I don't think there's any way that she could jump 6 feet straight up. Now, maybe there's stuff on the other side of the fence that I can't see that she can climb up on. I don't know. I just knew they weren't home and she was out in the rain and I was going to try and haul her back down off the wall out of the rain and just take her in the house where she can at least be warm until they come home. But then she just ran around the other side of the house and she didn't come back. So, I don't know. It was just kind of weird. On the other hand, and most people kind of know about this one, a couple weeks after that, and this is a sad story, so sorry, but as my wife was going to work in the morning, she found a very emaciated dog in her front yard. It was doing the fake limp thing that dogs do for sympathy. And as soon as she opened the door to tell me about it, dog comes running in the house. Now, this dog was in really bad shape. I mean, ribs sticking out, hips sticking out, really, really bad. But he was very friendly. And he had scabs all over the place. He'd been beaten. You could see where he'd had a collar on. So it wasn't just a wild, a feral dog. It was somebody's pet that got beaten and starved and thrown outside. And this dog had been out the night before, obviously, and it was down in the 20s, maybe down in the teens. So this dog was in really, really bad shape. So into the house we go, get that dog warmed up. I mean, he was shivering and freezing. And he started drinking like crazy. I limited how much he could have, but he was very clearly dehydrated. Couldn't get him to eat at all at first. Then I got him on some, sandwich meat because most dogs will take that. And for a couple of hours, we tried to get him going. Made a vet appointment. My regular vet couldn't see him for 2 days. The emergency vet around here is only open between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m., so I couldn't take him there. But he looked like he was responding. I mean, he was active. He was very loving. He just kept coming over to get pet. He laid down in the bed right next to my desk. And, I thought, okay, he's going to make it. He'll be fine. So I went out and I was getting him a bunch of stuff. And my youngest daughter called me while I was out and said he fell over and he had some kind of an embolism or something, and he died. And what I think happened was that his organs were already shutting down by the time we got him. And his heart just couldn't take it. He just had a heart attack, and that was it. But at least for the last couple of hours of his life, he was warm, he was happy, he was surrounded by love. And when we buried him, we took him out and we put him in the, quote unquote, family crypt where all the rest of our pets have gone. So I know it's kind of a silly thing, but, at least he's with family, right? That's kind of the thinking that people have. So anyway, that's kind of a very long answer to this question. For people who didn't know, because I posted about this on the community tab. But for people who don't know, that's kind of what happened. Do you work on loving yourself? No, I don't have to. Here again, and this is kind of why I think this was written by a young person, because one thing I've noticed from a lot of young people these days is a propensity for self-loathing. These people don't tend to like themselves. These people tend to hate themselves. And I think that's entirely sad. Here again, they're trying to push you in a certain way. Well, I gave up on that. It's got to be a myth. No, I just don't have to work on it. I am what I am. I accept myself as I am. I am happy with who I am. No work required. Some of this really makes me think you've got to be an emotional mess to be spiritual. And if that's the case, I'm sure the hell glad that I'm not. So here's the very last question. Do you believe there is such a thing as good or bad? No. I mean, we can subjectively decide that some things are good and some things are bad, but inherently, no, there is no such thing. If you're talking about objectivity, it doesn't exist. And again, I'm not sure what the hell this has to do with being spiritual. It's more of a question of rationality, but there you go. Pretty much everyone that I run into who wants to believe in objective morality or whatnot, they're all pretty screwed up. These are people who just can't think or reason for themselves. And that's usually why they fall for crap like religion. So, as is no surprise, I'm non-spiritual. Well, no shit, Sherlock. It says, and this is a hoot, you don't believe in a soul having a purpose, and you don't believe there's any way off the emotional roller coaster that is life. But that's dumb. Zero evidence for a soul at all, and life isn't an emotional roller coaster unless you allow it to be. Again, these are just pathetic people on the spiritual side. More so, you don't like the silence. You don't like to be judged. You fear it and try to avoid it as much as possible. Yeah, that's wrong. I never said that. I have nothing to be judged for, and I'm not afraid of it regardless. It's completely irrelevant. Wow, reading into things much? You always hate that you feel like you have to explain your lifestyle and life choices to others. Where the hell did that come from? This is just dumb. And if you look at the graph at the bottom, 68% of people are highly spiritual. Well, sure, because that's what your absurdly biased quiz makes them say. Don't believe me? I'm not alone. There are only 2 comments on this quiz. One got deleted, we don't know why, and the other says, quite possibly the worst quiz I have ever had the misfortune of taking. Your quiz is literally made for already very spiritual, based on the ridiculous idea that you seem to have, people. This isn't an am I spiritual? This is a take this quiz if you think like me, and I'll tell you that you think like me. Yep, exactly. Ridiculously biased. So, one thing that we have never learned from any of this is, am I legitimately spiritual? So let's go do something else. So I went looking for any coherent definition of what it means to be spiritual, and I found out that's almost impossible. It's all woo. The closest I came up with was this one that reads, spirituality involves the recognition of a feeling or sense or belief that there is something greater than myself, something more to being human than sensory experience, and that the greater whole of which we are part is cosmic or divine in nature. Okay. By that, I am definitely not spiritual, not by the remotest stretch of the imagination. Is there something out there greater than myself? Define your terms. Is there anything supernatural? No, because there's zero evidence to support that. There is nothing divine that I've seen any proof for. Therefore, I just don't accept it. If you do, then by all means, back it up in some kind of defensible, demonstrable way. And good luck, because you're going to need it. I have absolutely no need for spirituality. Reality is all that I require. This is just a bunch of people embracing woo-woo nonsense and pretending that in some way it makes some kind of bizarre sense. And they're wrong. They just are. They are out of their ever-loving rational minds. Not only am I not spiritual, I want absolutely nothing to do with spirituality. I have no respect whatsoever for anybody who pretends that they are. Embrace the real world for a change. Just might do you some good.